What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode with your boy Phrankleen. Now, I've had so many people send me emails about devastating how do you call this, devastating situations dealing with families, especially the bereaved, people that have lost maybe mom, maybe their elderly mom or elderly dad or their grandparents and stuff, especially diasporans, people that live abroad. So I've had cases of people say to me via email, whereby they've had, phone calls, duress, phone calls, and being heavily, severely pressurized about bringing X amount of money. So usually when people die back in Africa or back home, you have this so-called, elders come together, and then because you happen to be living abroad, they levy people money. You bring X amount of money, or because you're in Germany, or because you're in Sweden, you're in the US, you're in the UK, brings this and this and this. And the truth behind all of this is this puts a lot of undue monetary pressure on a lot of people who are grafting, who are even desperately trying to, find their feet abroad, who are trying to regularize their status and stuff. It brings a lot of, truckload of unnecessary pressure and stuff like that. Now, I like I said, I had a series of emails from people with similar sort of stories and saying, can I, come up with a content in that regard? And I said, okay, you know what? I'll look into it, which is I'm thoroughly aware of this myself. And if you look at some of my my recent videos, like recently I made a video, I'm going to put a link above about, bride price is a fueling misogyny and all that. And in that video, I talked about how it's a beautiful part of our culture, right? Bride price, especially if you look at what it was designed to be. It's a token, a gesture of goodwill, for between both families of the bride and the groom and stuff like that. It's not meant to be a money-making scheme. It's not meant to use as a means to line your pockets, to put undue financial pressure on the man, and fleece them, or use that to open a business of some sort. But unfortunately, it's been hijacked, it's been abused. That's sort of go hand in hand with this topic. Now, it's something I'm fully aware of myself, as a diasporan. It's bad enough that you get a phone call that you've lost a parent or a sibling or an extended member of your family and stuff. And of course, following that, the next thing is burial arrangements and stuff. And then you have this so-called elders, in the family. They will sit down and start, levying such and such. So let's say Phrankleen lives in the UK. Phrankleen needs to donate 250,000 naira. This needs to donate 150,000 naira. That needs to donate 400,000 naira because of such and such and such. And I'm going to address this from this angle. Now, what's common about all of these emails that I received is the fact that everybody's banging on about the undue financial pressure, as I said earlier, which is true. Because how much is it that those people make abroad, grafting and working every day, trying to pay your bills here, your rent, everything, your council tax, for your cars, for your credit card bills, whatnot, yeah? And then you get that call, and then some people are levying you. In fact, a gentleman said to me in his email that the elders in his family, in fact, will not budge. This is how bad this is. He lives here in the UK, and I think he has an older brother in the States, and he also has a sister who lives in Germany and stuff. He said they wouldn't budge with the burial arrangements because his brother in the States happened to be struggling right now. He's out of work. His wife is working part-time. They have to pay rent. They've got 2 children. They have a mountain of bills to cater to. And he only had a token of money, right, that he even managed to squeeze from a few friends. And he said, this is what I've got. This is what I can afford, right? I think they lost, it's actually their dad's younger brother. Their dad had died years ago. Their dad's younger brother. And this pressure, and they're saying, and they're receiving this barrage of insults and saying, they are useless. This person is their dad's younger brother. And then the families, the so-called elders, are calling them all sorts of names, and they're saying that shame on them. They're the ones bringing the family to disrepute because they're refusing to send money. For that reason, the dead body is going to remain in the mortuary, so everybody's going to know that they're the ones delaying. Listen to me, my brothers and sisters. All of that is called emotional abuse. Okay? The guilt tripping you, man. It's emotional abuse. It's tactics, okay, to force money out of your pockets. Yorubas will say, there's an adage, you're the ones encouraging these people. You are, in fact, you are allowing them, you are pandering to them. You're the ones allowing these people to fleece you. Believe that, man. What order? You know your current situation, right? You see, you cannot give what you don't have. And before I go deeper, for someone to say to you, if you don't send money, we're going to keep the body in the mortuary, trust me, they're not ready to bury that body. They're definitely not ready. In fact, disgracefully, the family of the said man, the man's children are actually in Nigeria. They are also waiting for these people abroad to send money. That's ridiculous. That makes no bloody sense. But this is what is being practiced. This guy, there's another one. In fact, as you know, Muslims, when somebody dies, within 24 hours, the body has to go into the ground based on Islamic rites. In fact, here in the UK, I actually found out recently, which is fantastic. If you go to the local cemeteries and stuff, like in Leeds here, they always have like one or two, burial spaces, right? Dug in advance to cater for Muslims, particularly in the city that's next to Leeds, which is called Bradford. There's a lot of Pakistani, Asian community in there. And there's a lot of Muslims in those communities. So if somebody dies right now, to then start calling somebody to come and dig a hole and stuff, will go against their Islamic rites and stuff. They would make sure that body needs to go into the ground and stuff. Now, in a situation where somebody's died back home, according to Islamic rites, the body goes into the ground, within 24 hours. They get all the alfars and whatever to do the prayers and stuff, and they bury. So what usually happens is they want to have burial parties. So what they tend to do is they bury the body first, right? Then they now pick, maybe a month later or weeks later, they pick a date for the actual burial ceremony, which is pretty much dancing, drinking, and spraying pointless money as far as I'm concerned, right? The person has been buried, right? Then people start picking clothings, they start spending money, they start billing everybody. Oh, we're picking this hat, we're picking this head tie, we're picking these materials and stuff. Then they start making plans. These gentlemen, one of the people that emailed me, his dad was already buried according to Muslim rites. They are asking this guy for 500,000 naira. Dude told me, he told me that he was typing that email. He was in tears. He said, because he hasn't got 500k. 500k in pounds at this time, at the time of filming this, divided by 460. That's over 1,086 pounds. I don't know if you can see that. 1,086 pounds. Where is that man going to get that from if he doesn't have disposable cash of 1,000 pounds to send? And he said to me that there's about 5 siblings, plus their dad has a second wife who has 4 other children, and there is extended family. They are asking him, because there's about 3 of them overseas, they are asking him for 500,000. They are asking his older brother for 1.2 million. They are asking, I think, his sister for 700,000. And what you will find is a lump of this money is really going to go into the hands of unscrupulous people who are actually planning to line their own pockets by hiding behind burial arrangements. Now, there is also something I need to add to this. You see, things like people abroad being levied huge amounts of money, being pressurized for money, being belittled and spoken to as if, if you don't, donate those monies or bring money right now, they are irresponsible, they have no regard for their parents or for their families and stuff. You see, these are the things that get people poverty stricken. These are the things that bankrupt people, that deplete your funds and finances. I personally am sick and tired of these ways. You see, we need to change in Africa. We need to do better. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand people are going to have opposing views and stuff. But here is how I see it. I don't think it's fair for me to become an elderly man and when I die, the idea that the burden of the burial ceremony is going to be hanging as a dark cloud atop the heads of my children, that idea alone makes me sick personally. And I mean every bit of that statement. Whatever happens to having a life insurance, right? Whatever happens to what's wrong with the idea of having a life insurance? This is why, a lot of, I say this with all due respect, but I have to say it anyway. Because the poverty mentality and how things are done, you live a frivolous life in terms of your finances. Then you expect to put the burden on your children. Then some self-proclaimed elders think it's their God-given right to fleece the bereaved and say, hey, who gave those people the right? Go and bring 500,000, go and bring 1.2 million, go and bring, and you will find out those people dishing out those figures, they never donate shit. They expect everybody, you and everybody, to pay for them. In the process of buying clothing and paying for necessary things, some people are getting rich, they're making money. You are here. Think about it. A man is crying, a grown man. He's been asked for 500K. His older brother at 1.2 million. They don't have it. They've been hounded to death. The body is going to be in the mortuary. It's all emotional abuse. If you're a parent, you as a parent, you have your life insurance. Let me take, for example, I live in the West. Yeah? Oyinbo people, the white man. Most of the elderly people, they have at least the basic funeral plans. Yeah? So when you die, you contact your children, your family, contact the relevant funeral or company or whosoever that you've registered with and stuff, and once they verify that the person has truly died and stuff, based on the amount of money you've been paying and stuff, for this burial you're entitled to 10,000 naira or pounds, or to cater for this and this. So sometimes the funeral package might pay for the coffin, pay for the hearse, pay for maybe the burial space and all that stuff. All of this to relieve your family of financial burden. I think is one of the most amazing inventions. If you have life insurance, if you have things in place, you are elderly. Your average Nigerian, daddy, have you thought of having a life insurance, just in case? You're praying that I die? You want me to die? It's a lie. It's selfish. Plan for your own burial. Put money aside. Or at least, if you have something in a fixed deposit account, they can take that. I'm sorry. The whole idea of burial and all that stuff. Somebody is dead. Then you squander millions and thousands of naira on what? 90% of the attendees of these burials, the dead don't even know them. The children of the dead don't even know those people. It's always the same jollof rice and fried rice and moi moi and pounded yam and people picking clothing. And after the burial, they don't wear those clothing anymore. A lot of money wasted. I'm sorry, some of you might not like this. I watch all these people, funeral companies. You put a coffin of a dead person on your shoulder and you are dancing with it. You're blowing trumpets. What? Makes no sense. You see people spraying money on the coffin of the dead. What does that signify? Why didn't you spend that money on the father or the mother or whatsoever when they were alive? This fleecing and this burial demands, it needs to stop. And the only way to stop it is you have to learn to say no. I've got parents, I've got mom and dad. Let me tell you, man, if any one of them, I'm the firstborn child. Let me tell you, man, if anything happens, God decides to call them home, any of my parents, fam, I'm not interested in elaborate burial parties. And this has nothing to do with a level of affordability. It's all nonsense. The same thing with weddings. If a particular piece of cloth is being sold for 5,000 naira from the suppliers, You want to sell it to the attendees of your party for 50,000 naira so you can make money off them. Are you mad? And you expect me to hand you 50,000 naira? And you know what people do? Even they do it here in the UK, in the US, everywhere. So if I don't hand you that 50,000 naira, oh, I become less of a friend. I become a bad person. I'm a hater. I'm not supporting you. No! Bro, don't be trying to get rich off me. Are you mad? If you can't sponsor your own wedding, don't get married. If you can't sponsor your father's burial, don't bury. Oyinbo people don't make a fuss, you know. The white people, right? They get the hearse, get the coffin, everything done. You see, once everyone is wearing their suits, black, skirts and blouse, black, hats, pay the last respect. They have a church sermon, Reverend Father, they say whatever, everybody do their eulogy, the poems, whatever you do. They lay down the body. They might just meet up later for a bit of sandwich, a bit of, drinks here and there. You pay your respect. They hug themselves. They might have a couple of drinks. But in proportion. Nobody's blasting music and spraying money. Solek is playing. Barista is there. Wasiu is. For what? For what? To prove what? It's a dead body in 6 feet deep in the ground. All of that is just waste of money. This pattern, this so-called culture, I don't believe it's culture. It's disgraceful. Undue financial pressure, particularly on people, even people back home in Africa. Some people sit down, bring X amount of money, they waste money. Squander money. And especially when you travel home for the burial. Oh, they're expecting you. That's when the musicians are singing. They're expecting you to come and... Let me give you a fun fact. I don't believe in spraying money. I don't. Ashawani, it's our culture. No. 9 out of 10 times, it's the poor people that uphold that nonsensical ideas. I've seen people in this country that wash toilets for a living. They will work overtime. They will take the pounds. They go to Nigeria. They go back home for parties, for burials. They go and change that money to $1. Start spending or change it to naira. What does that denote? Okay, if you feel like giving a financial gift in support of the family, maybe like a 50,000 or 100,000, however much, right? Why can't you put that in an envelope or credit their bank account just to lend the support to the family or whatever? Why can't you just meet the person one-on-one and say, oh, take this X amount of money, this 50,000 that I can afford. Here is a 1,000, naira that I have. Here is 20,000 naira that I have. Why do we have to spray money? I'm just saying. For those of you that can relate to or with what I'm saying, you know exactly what I'm saying. They fleece you. They put pressure on you. Mua, because you live abroad. Say no. All this pointless expenditure. I've been to a few burials in this country. It's always the African one that's totally different. And a lot of the people that are at the burial squandering money, they are broke. And then some people argue, oh yeah, if you got the money, yeah, if you got it, you flaunt it and stuff. I said, well, hey, each to their own, whatever floats your boat, man. But I just logically looking at something, it makes absolutely no sense to me. It makes no sense. You squander money, you spend money anyhow. It makes no sense. If people are telling you back home, if you don't bring that 1 million, we're not burying that body. Tell them to keep that goddamn body in the mortuary. Alaye, Yorùbá ní owó tí ò sí àrùn ò lè gbà. If I were to be in charge of a burial, say I have one of my elderly parents, right? Maybe get like a vicar or reverend to say the normal church service and stuff. There might be a little fee you give to the vicar or the reverend and stuff. Trust me, that's me. This is me. This is me. There's a bunch of, I'm an African man, but at the same time, a lot of this bollocks, it's not culture. It's not a true representation of what African culture is about. It's bollocks. It's just nonsense that people have adopted, that have been imposed on people. So, that's how we do it. We have to do it that way. Rubbish. Some people sit down and tell you, hey, go and bring 500,000. Hey, yo, slow down, B. You don't put bread on my table. You don't pay any of my goddamn bills. You don't clothe me. You don't feed me. You don't charge my electricity. Who the bloody hell are you? to levy me. Like, 500,000. I know a borobi and was saying, 500,000. Who appointed you? Go and bring 1.2 million. Imagine over Simba making 1.2 million. Who are you? If there's a justifiable reason to spend 1.2, okay, maybe I can decide that with my siblings. I want what? You can cross the road into my grandmother was buried not too long ago. My father's mother. Cross the road into where they make coffins. How much is it? You can pick a beautiful one, nicely done. It's going into the ground anyway. I was reading somewhere the other day. 1.5 million. To prove what? It's going to go in the ground anyway. It's going to get covered. So to prove what? Or to make other persons that get to bury their own parents in a 150,000 naira coffin to make them feel less human? Oh, that you're better than them? Oh, when John buried his father, he spent 2 million naira on the coffin alone. Look at your life. So the coffin that you want to use to bury your mother now, 150,000, You're more linear. So the coffin, what? You gotta learn to say no. Just cut yourself from this bull crap. No. Break away from this nonsense. They call you because you are abroad. Can they call you must be? What nonsense. What insolence. Learn to say no. Break yourself away from, except, if you are neck deep in sentiments and you're unable to, that's, it's up to you. But for someone like me, no means no. If you like, Oshimu's okay. Of course, are you mad? Fam, nah, man. See, what's important, did you have a good relationship with your pops before your pops died or your mom died or that person? You get what I'm saying? If it's a younger person in the family and stuff, pay your last respect, which is something that should come from your heart. You see, I've seen a few burials of white folks in this country. Except if it's like a, celebrity, you might have people line up on the street or like a royal family or something. Then you might, because it's there, of course, state funded. That's a different, well, regular people. I've gone to regular, white folks burials over the years. Go see Barbara. In fact, I attended a white person's wedding whereby the attendees were less than 100. Beautiful, cozy. They didn't break the bank. They didn't break simple wedding rings, dresses, lovely. I counted the guests in the reception. We went up to 50. This was a few years ago. Lovely. Go see Solek in bed. And afterwards, they bought their 3-bedroom house. They both have good jobs. They work in the medical field. But that about everybody, 1 million. Anyway, sorry, man. I'm just carrying on. It pisses me off, man. I feel sorry for people because I know exactly what it is, man. To the gentlemen, to the people that, emailed me about this, learn to say no. Say no. Go see Kosini and let them get lost. If it's 100,000 you have to donate for the burial, if they don't want to keep your money, it's your boy, Phrankleen. I'm going to catch you in the next one. All right? Peace and love. Bye now.